Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Talking Pro Football. I'm Michael Carlyle. We'll look back at Week 13 in the National Football League. We'll get you ready for the Monday night game, plus the latest news, notes, and unfortunately a lot of injury news to get to. Week 13 kicked off Thursday night in New Orleans. The Dallas Cowboys were in town. They were 5.5-point favorites against the Saints. And with head coach Mike McCarthy out with COVID, defensive coordinator Dan Quinn had to step in as acting head coach. CeeDee Lamb had 122 yards from scrimmage. Tony Pollard had a 58-yard touchdown run. The Cowboys defense produced a drive-stalling sack and 3 interceptions in the fourth quarter en route to a 27-17 win over the Saints. Cowboys intercepted Saints quarterback Taysom Hill 4 times in all, 3 in the final 6:32 of the game. Dak Prescott threw for 238 yards and a touchdown to Michael Gallup. Dallas now 8-4. The Saints are 5-7. The Sunday games got underway in Atlanta. The Falcons were 10.5-point underdogs against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady threw for 368 yards and 4 touchdowns, 2 of them to Rob Gronkowski. Tampa Bay Buccaneers moved to the brink of clinching the NFC South title with a 30-17 win over the Falcons. Bucs won their 3rd straight game, and they pushed the division lead to 4 games over Atlanta, Carolina, and New Orleans, who are all 5-7 with 5 games remaining. The 44-year-old Brady completed 38 of 51 passes, including touchdowns of 27 and 11 yards to Gronk en route to the victory. Arizona Cardinals were on the road. They were 7.5-point favorites against the Bears. Kyler Murray threw for 2 touchdowns. He ran for 2 more in his return from an ankle injury. Cardinals beat the struggling Bears 33-22. Cardinals got back both Murray and 3-time All-Pro receiver DeAndre Hopkins after both players had missed 3 games because of injuries. The Arizona defense picked off Andy Dalton 4 times on Sunday. Cardinals have the best record in the NFL. They are now 10-2. They're also 7-0 on the road this season. The Bears, meanwhile, slipped to 4-8. The Cincinnati Bengals were 3-point favorites at home, playing host to the Chargers. Justin Herbert threw 3 touchdown passes. Tavon Campbell returned a Joe Mixon fumble 61 yards for a score to help the Chargers hold off Joe Burrow and the Bengals. 41-22 was the final on Sunday. Herbert was 26 of 35, 317 yards, as the Chargers bounced back after losing at Denver last weekend. Mike Williams had 5 receptions for 110 yards. Keenan Allen caught 2 of Herbert's touchdown passes. Chargers now 7-5 on the season, and the Bengals, they dropped to 7-5. The Detroit Lions were at home. They were playing host to the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota came in a touchdown favorite, and this one, they said it couldn't be done. But it happened. The Lions finally found victory. Jared Goff threw an 11-yard touchdown pass as time expired to lift the previously winless Lions to a 29-27 win over the Vikings. Not only was the finish dramatic, it was stunning. Goff led the Lions on a 75-yard drive with no timeouts after Kirk Cousins threw the go-ahead touchdown pass to Justin Jefferson with 1:50 left. Vikings failed on the 2-point conversion for the 3rd time, and those missed opportunities proved costly in this one. The Lions are now 1-10-1, and they give first-year head coach Dan Campbell his first win with the franchise. Vikings, meanwhile, fall to 5-7. The Dolphins were at home. They were 3-point favorites against the Giants. Tua Tagovailoa threw a pair of short touchdown passes, and the Dolphins extend their win streak to 5 games. They topped the Giants 20-9 on Sunday. Tagovailoa completed 30 of 41 passes for 244 yards and 2 touchdowns. Mike Glennon started in place of Daniel Jones for the Giants. Jones sidelined with a neck injury. Glennon 23 of 44, 187 yards. Saquon Barkley had 55 yards rushing on 11 carries. The once 1-7 and falling apart Dolphins are now 6-7. Giants, meanwhile, they are 4-8. The Jets were at home. They were playing host to the Philadelphia Eagles. Gardner Minshew started in place of Jalen Hurts, and he led the clock-eating Eagles to scores on their first 7 possessions on the way to a 33-18 win over the Jets. Minshew, 20 of 25, 242 yards passing and a pair of touchdowns to Dallas Goedert. Jake Elliott kicked 4 field goals, and the Eagles now 6-7 with the win. The Jets, they are just 3-9. The Indianapolis Colts were on the road. They were visiting the Houston Texans. Colts come into this one an 8.5-point road favorite. They didn't disappoint. Jonathan Taylor ran for 143 yards and a pair of scores as the Colts rolled to an easy 31-0 win over the absolutely terrible Houston Texans. Houston turned the ball over twice in the first quarter. Tyrod Taylor was benched in the third quarter. Texans lose for the 9th time in 10 games. They're now 2-10. With the win, the Colts improved to 7-6. On to the late games. We'll start in Las Vegas. The Raiders were 2.5-point favorites hosting the Washington football team. Taylor Heineke threw 2 touchdown passes. He set up kicker Brian Johnson's game-winning 48-yard field goal with 37 seconds left to lead Washington to its 4th straight win. 17-15 was the final over the Raiders. Heineke threw a 7-yard touchdown pass to Logan Thomas on the opening drive and a 4-yarder to Antonio Gibson early in the 4th quarter after extending the drive with a key 3rd down scramble. Raiders, meanwhile, unable to build on that Thanksgiving overtime win at Dallas. They lose for the 4th time in 5 games as the offense is stalled after a strong start to the season. Washington is now 6-6. Raiders, they fall to 6-6. The LA Rams were big favorites at home, 13-point favorites, as a matter of fact, against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Cooper Kupp, Van Jefferson, Odell Beckham Jr. all caught touchdown passes from Matthew Stafford, and the Rams snapped their 3-game losing streak. 37-7 was the final over the Jaguars. Stafford threw for 295 yards for the Rams. They improved to 8-4 after going winless in November. Kupp had his 100th reception of the season among his 8 catches for 129 yards. Jacksonville drops to 2-10. Baltimore Ravens were 3-point favorites on the road at Pittsburgh. This was a very fun game, and it got a little wonky at the end. John Harbaugh went for the win. It cost the Ravens, and it kept the Steelers alive in the AFC North, at least for now. The Steelers hang on for the 20-19 win. They stop a 2-point conversion attempt after Lamar Jackson's touchdown pass to Sammy Watkins got the Ravens within 1 with 12 seconds to go. Rather than turn to star kicker Justin Tucker for the extra point, the Ravens decided to go for 2. Tight end Mark Andrews couldn't haul in the pass from Jackson. Steelers then recover the onside kick to seal the win. Pittsburgh ends a 3-game winless streak behind the 39th fourth-quarter comeback engineered by Ben Roethlisberger. Steelers now 6-5-1. Ravens slip to 8-4. Seattle Seahawks were looking to get back on the winning track. They were 2.5-point underdogs at home against the 49ers. Russell Wilson had his best game since returning from finger surgery. He threw for 231 yards and a pair of touchdowns, and the Seahawks made a late goal line stand to beat the 49ers, 30-23 the final. George Kittle, 9 catches for 181 yards and 2 scores for the Niners, but he was shut down in the second half until the final drive. Wilson, meanwhile, finished 231 yards passing along with a pair of scores for the Seahawks. They snapped a 3-game losing skid. They're now 4-8, while the Niners dropped to 6-6. The Sunday night game in Kansas City, the Chiefs were big favorites against the Broncos, 9.5-point favorites, and the resurgent KC defense shut down Teddy Bridgewater and the Broncos. Daniel Sorensen returned an interception, 75 yards for a touchdown, as the Chiefs beat Denver 22-9 on Sunday night for their 5th straight win. Patrick Mahomes had 184 yards passing with a touchdown run and an interception for the Chiefs, who are now 8-4. Broncos dropped to 6-6. Chiefs now lead the Chargers by a game and the Broncos and the Raiders by 2 in the race for a 6th straight AFC West championship. We'll wrap up Week 13 in the National Football League Monday night in Buffalo, and it's a battle for the lead in the AFC East as the Patriots visit the Bills. Bills are 3-point favorites in this one, and they welcome in the hottest team in the AFC. First place in the division is on the line. Josh Allen and Mac Jones are going to get the headlines in this one, but it's going to be all about the defenses. These are 2 of the best scoring defenses in the league, so I expect this one to be a tight game and probably a very low-scoring game. Patriots are looking to run their win streak to 7 in a row. I think they get it done. I'm going to take New England here. All right, let's take a look at the playoff picture here as we're basically through 13 weeks of the NFL season. We'll start in the AFC. Your division leaders, of course, the Patriots, the Titans, the Ravens, and the Chiefs. New England is 8-4. Tennessee is 8-4. Ravens 8-4. Chiefs 8-4. They would be seeded 1 through 4 at the moment. Your 3 wild card teams if the playoffs started today: the Bills at 7-4, the Chargers at 7-5, and the Bengals at 7-5. Now, it's a tight race for the wild card. You've got the Steelers at 6-5-1, the Colts at 7-6, the Raiders at 6-6, the Browns at 6-6, and Denver at 6-6, all in the mix. And don't sleep on the Miami Dolphins. They are 6-7. They've got a bye next week, and then they get the Jets. So the path back to 500 and 7-7 is easily there in the Dolphins' grasp. And then who knows? Anything could happen at that point. Over in the NFC, your division leaders, the Cardinals, the Packers, the Buccaneers, and the Cowboys, and that's the way they'd be seeded 1 through 4. Arizona 10-2. Green Bay and Tampa Bay are both 9-3. The Packers would be the second seed. Tampa would be the third, and then the Cowboys, your fourth seed at 8-4. Your three wild cards, if the playoffs started today in the NFC, the Rams at 8-4, Washington at 6-6, and San Francisco at 6-6. And you've got a logjam behind them, much like in the AFC. You've got the Eagles at 6-7, Minnesota at 5-7, Carolina's 5-7, Atlanta's 5-7, and the Saints are 5-7. Now, the difference in the NFC and the AFC, it seems like over on the AFC side, you look at those teams that are still in the hunt, and on any given Sunday, it's not a surprise what they do one way or the other. It seems like in the NFC, with the Panthers, the Falcons, even the Saints, yeah, they're 5-7. The Vikings as well, 5-7. But it seems like they're all headed in the wrong direction. So really, maybe only Philly of those outliers has a chance to move up into a wild card spot. But we'll see how things play out. There's still a lot of football left to be played. So, as they say, anything can happen. Let's look at some news and notes coming off of Week 13 in the National Football League. The Lions win. They get their first win of the season. That win snaps a 15-game winless streak. Their 9-game home losing streak is over. Jared Goff's 12-game winless streak in starts, which, by the way, the longest by a quarterback drafted number 1 overall since the common draft era in 1967. That's over now, and it's the Lions' first win in almost a year, 364 days between wins for the Lions. Congratulations to them. Also, more good news for the Lions. Not really, but let's play it up while we can. San Francisco's loss on Sunday means that the Lions will enter Week 14 still alive in the playoff hunt. The people of Detroit rejoice. Yeah, they probably don't. But for another week at least, the Lions, mathematically anyway, still in the playoff picture. A team that's not the first team eliminated from playoff contention. No, not the Lions. It's the Houston Texans. Speaking of the Texans, they're the first team to be shut out by 30 points twice in a season since the Panthers back in 2002. Texans are a bad football team. The Ravens' loss on Sunday means that at the moment, the number 1 seed in the AFC is Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. Now, again, that's at the moment. We've still got the Monday night game, and that'll be the Bills and the Patriots. So Buffalo looking to have something to say about that. But at the moment, the top seed in the AFC, yeah, it's the Patriots. At 10-2, the Cardinals are the first team to reach the 10-win mark this season. Colts running back Jonathan Taylor is now rushed for a touchdown in 10 straight games. By the way, the Bengals' Joe Mixon, he's got a 9-game touchdown streak going on. With Tampa Bay's win over the Falcons, Tom Brady now 10-0 against Atlanta all time. Kyler Murray becomes the 4th youngest player to reach 10,000 career passing yards. Cardinals also the second team since the merger to win 7 straight road games by 10 or more points in a single season. The only other team to do that, the 1984 San Francisco 49ers, who went on to win the Super Bowl. Justin Herbert had his 11th career game with 3 touchdown passes. The only player in NFL history with more in his first 2 seasons is Hall of Famer Dan Marino. He did it 13 times in his first 2 years. Speaking of Justin Herbert, most 300-yard passing games the last 2 seasons. It's not Patrick Mahomes, it's not Tom Brady, but they are tied for second. It is Justin Herbert. 15 times in the last 2 seasons, he's thrown for 300 or more yards. Mahomes and Brady have both done it 13 times. Tom Brady has now thrown 90 touchdown passes to Rob Gronkowski in the regular season. They passed Phillip Rivers and Antonio Gates for second most touchdown connections in NFL history. They now trail only Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison, who did it 112 times. By the way, Brady this season, he's averaging 2.83 passing touchdowns per game. And while we're on the subject of Tampa Bay, Chris Godwin's stats on Sunday, 15 receptions, that's a franchise record, 143 yards. He also ran for 9 yards. Philadelphia Eagles have never lost to the Jets. Philly's record is now 12-0 against the Jets. That's the best record for any team versus an opponent in NFL history. Speaking of the Eagles, Gardner Minshew had a 133.7 passer rating on Sunday. That's the highest rating by a Philly quarterback since 2014. The longest current win streaks in the NFL, the Patriots have won 6 in a row headed into Monday night. The Dolphins and the Chiefs have both won 5 in a row. Ben Roethlisberger now has 11 career fourth quarter and overtime games.